So,
God's will.
so it will be, yes, please. Yes, please.
Material Rushi.
Yes.
To me, it's also giving up, perhaps we're so attached to things, materialism, to our career, to our ambition, the new car, the new house, the new raise, the new life, or whatever, that if we soften our hearts, we let go of those things, the material possessions, Maya, that wants to embrace us so tightly.
True. Yes, so softening our heart is associated with letting go of our attachments. When we are very attached to something, then we may feel very strong emotion in relationship with that, but we don't feel anything in relationship with anything else. A greedy person will only be concerned with what I want right now, and who all I am hurting in the process of getting what I want. I won't feel it also. Sometimes I may not care even if I feel, and sometimes I may not even feel. I may become deadened. So yes, attachment is very big obstacle to a softened heart. If somebody becomes addicted, say somebody gets into drugs and gets addicted, then they soon become habitual liars and stealers. They may not be bad people, but just that they start doing that, and that's what they need to get their next dopamine hit. And how many people they end up hurting in the process. We just become oblivious to it. So yes, letting go of our attachments is very helpful. Thank you. So I'll talk about three broad things that can help us develop this softening of the heart. And I'll correspondingly talk about three obstacles to the softening of the heart. And I will use the acronym ACT for this. ACT. Let's act to soften our heart. Now, the first A is appreciation. We could say before this will come acceptance. But acceptance can sometimes be grudging. If a couple gets married and the husband says, I will accept you throughout my life. That's not a very endearing vow, isn't it? That's like saying, I'll tolerate you throughout my life. It is, I'll cherish you. So we want to go beyond acceptance. Acceptance is important, but beyond acceptance is appreciation. So now appreciation, one of the things that hardens our heart is resentment. Resentment is, why is this happening? Why is this person like this? Why are things going this way? And as long as we are filled with resentment, that leads to an aggressive, defensive hardening of the heart. Because things are going the way we don't want them to go, as a defensive strategy, we harden our heart. And in trying to force our will on the world, we also become aggressive. So, yes, there are many things wrong in life. And we all have been hurt in different ways. In life, there is unfairness, there is injustice. And unfortunately, that is the way of the world. However, while all this is true, there is still much that is to be accepted and appreciated in life. I learned this lesson quite early in my life from my mother. Some of you noticed that I need crutches for walking. So when I was one, I was afflicted with polio. Polio is almost eradicated now, thanks to the vaccine and other things. But when I was there, the vaccine was still there, and my mother dutifully took me to a nearby clinic to get vaccinated. But we were in a small town in the center of India, and the facilities were a bit primitive. So the clinic where the vaccine was kept had a power outage the previous night. And because of that, the germs in the vaccine had multiplied because the temperature had risen. And the attendant didn't notice that. And the physician gave me that injection. And that injection, instead of preventing the disease, ended up causing the disease. I was about one and I was just learning to walk and I fell down and I could never walk thereafter normally. I don't remember any of this, but my first memory of this was I was around 2.5 or 3, and a distant relative had come to meet us, and she was consoling my mother, saying, "It's so sad your son got polio." And I remember my mother's voice, very calm, clear, confident. She said, "Whatever he lacks physically, God will provide him intellectually." At that age, did she see anything in me? Or was it just her hope? Was it God speaking through her? I don't know. But somehow those words stayed with me. And I couldn't play outdoor games like other kids could. But I noticed that I was good at studies. I could read things fast, I could remember things well, I could articulate things clearly. And somehow, at the back of my mind, it settled down that I could say that I couldn't have physical mobility, and that was unfair. That I had this physical disability which others didn't have. But then I also noticed that I had the intellectual ability that others didn't have. So life may be unfair, but in the big picture, it is fairly unfair. Fairly unfair means sometimes we get worse than what we deserve, and sometimes we get better than what we deserve. Now, this is not to say that some people's lives is not objectively far tougher than others. It's definitely there. Still, for each one of us, it is a choice we have to make. Will we look at how life is unfair to us, or will we look at how life is fair or even more than fair to us? Now, if we keep looking at how life is unfair, that is where we will become filled with resentment. It is if we look at how life is fair to us, that is where we will have appreciation. So we can't choose the conditions that we find ourselves in life. Many times, sometimes we create those conditions, but many times we can't choose the conditions. But to the extent we can appreciate what is good in whatever situation we are in, to that extent, we lay the foundation for the opening and the softening of our heart. So when I travel across the world, I'm often invited to give talks to places where people with special needs assemble. And after my talk, when I talk with these people, some of their stories are extraordinarily resilient and are extraordinarily inspiring, seeing their resilience. Unfortunately, many of these people are, I notice, still fighting battles that were lost long ago. Somebody lost a limb maybe 5 years ago in an accident, somebody lost an eye, somebody lost this. It's all tragic and painful. But it happened. It happened 1 year ago, it happened 5 years ago, it happened 10 years ago. And still they're fighting this battle. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why me? Why me? Why me? But what happens because of this is that resentment, it sucks the joy out of their life. It just prevents them from seeing anything good in life. Now again, I'm not minimizing the bad things that can happen to any one of us in life. It's just a fact. It's an unfortunate fact of life that terrible things can happen. But no matter how many terrible things have happened, if we are just alive, then I can guarantee you that there is more right than the wrong in your life. Whatever our age will be, we all probably know people who died before they came to our age. So, just the fact that we are alive At any moment, so many things can go wrong. And our life can end in one moment. The fact that it hasn't happened means that life is not yet done with us. That there is something more in our life. So this appreciation, we often look for gifts in life. Gifts in life means maybe I should get a good job, maybe I should be paid a lot, maybe I should be recognized and glorified and praised publicly, maybe I should get a very attractive, good partner, whatever. We all look for gifts in life. And when we get those gifts, we say, yeah, I'll be appreciative, I'll be grateful. That's good, but underlying this is the gift of life. We sometimes get so caught in looking for the gifts in life and feeling that this gift is not there and this gift is not there and this gift is not there, that we completely forget the value of the gift of life itself. Life itself is a gift. Every day, every moment that we are alive is a gift. And when we talk about appreciation, see, if something extraordinary happens in our life, then it's easy to be appreciative. Appreciation for the extraordinary. Is this visible to everyone? One time I was giving a talk and the projector had got disconnected and nobody told me. I was like reading throughout the talk and I could see the audience faces. I was drawing something and explaining a thing. The audience was looking at me as if they were watching a foreign language movie without subtitles. So I wondered, why did you tell me? They said, we don't want to disturb the flow of your thought. I said, the thought is not flowing to you. So normally I sit a little ahead so that I can see this. I cannot see this right now, so please let me know. So now, gratitude for the extraordinary. If suddenly we win $1 million in lottery ticket, now we will be grateful. If we are not grateful for the extraordinary, then there is something extraordinarily wrong with us. If some extraordinary good fortune comes to us, suddenly among 1,000 employees, we are selected for a very big project and we get a big raise and a lot of power, we should be grateful. But appreciation for the extraordinary is actually ordinary. In the sense that if something great happens, everybody will be grateful. It's easy that way. If we had a terrible disease and suddenly somebody finds a medicine, something is suffering for years, and we take the medicine one week, we are cured. Wow, that's great. So gratitude for the extraordinary is great, it's good, but it's ordinary. Everybody can do that. However, gratitude for the ordinary, that is extraordinary. Ordinary means even the small things in life. That the gift of life itself is a valuable gift. Gratitude for the ordinary is extraordinary. And if we can have that appreciation, that sense of gratitude during the course of our life, somebody just has a gentle, polite smile, a kind word of encouragement, just a small helpful gesture. If we have that attitude of looking, we'll find that there are good things in life. Yes, there's a lot of bad, and I'm not denying that. But appreciation is the beginning for softening the heart. In the text that has guided my life the most, it's called the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that such appreciation is the first discipline of the mind. Sometimes we talk about discipline of the body. Like if he is practicing yoga, we may sit in a particular posture. That's discipline of the body. And some amount of discipline of the body is good. Now, discipline of the mind refers to that the minds will go in particular directions. But we discipline it and get it to go in another direction. So, manaha prasada, manaha prasada is satisfaction, contentment. And that will lead to Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam is gentleness, softness. When we talk about softening of the heart. So appreciation. So we can all think about in our lives, what is it that we appreciate? And just make a list of maybe 3, 5 things. And every day don't just make a list, write it down in more detail. What do I appreciate about this? Because sometimes just looking at that list may not evoke that appreciation for us. But okay, I have decent health. I, I'm living in a country where I have freedom. I have economic stability. I have good relationships. Whatever, write things down. I have this talent. Whatever it is, write it down and describe it. So just seeing, okay, this is how this is of value to me. This is something important for me. That's appreciation. So, what is the acronym we are discussing? ACT, yes, thank you. So now A was appreciation, C is curiosity. Appreciation is more with respect to the feeling side of us, while softening of our heart is primarily, we could say, associated with emotions. But it is not just completely achieved through emotions alone. Along with our sentient or affective side, AFF, not EFF, affective side, we also need to consider our cognitive side. So in the Gita tradition, there is the mana, there is the mind, and there is the intelligence. So whenever we go through life, let us try to go through life with a spirit of curiosity. Now, I said the opposite of appreciation and acceptance was resentment. What is the opposite of curiosity? Sorry? Boredom? Ignorance. True. Right. Both are true. I'm looking for a particular word. It is, sorry, complacency. Yes, that's also true. The
Difference.
yes, judgmentality. So I'm using, how is judgmentality the opposite of curiosity? That basically, this person is like this only. People are like this only. I was in California last year. I was going for a talk, and there in front of me, in the car, there was a quote on the bumper sticker. The more I get to know people, the more I love my dog. Now, at one level, it's humorous, but there's a tragic logic to that, isn't it? That people have so many bad experiences with others. Better I don't connect with anyone, any human being. So now, yes, we cannot deny our bad experience, nor should we deny them. But judgmentality involves putting fixed and permanent labels. It could be on people, it could be on situations, it could be on all of reality, or it could be on ourselves. So when we are the opposite of curious, then the mindset that we bring into a situation prevents us from gaining any fresh perspective, from learning anything. Now we all may have had bad experiences in life. People could have let us down, people could have betrayed us. And it's terrible that it happened. However, our future does not have to be a repetition of the past. So when I'm talking about curiosity, it is an openness and even an eagerness to what we don't know. So in one sense, appreciation and curiosity are almost opposite over here. What do you mean by that? Appreciation and curiosity are opposite. That when I talk about appreciation, see, in our lives, There are things we have, the things we have, and there are things we don't have. Our things we don't have are bigger. So appreciation means we stop fixating on what we don't have. We focus on what we have. So that's appreciation. On the other hand, curiosity is called jigyasa in Sanskrit. Curiosity is there are things I know. And then there are things I don't know. So when we have curiosity, we are aware of this, but we are much more eager for this. What I know, and yeah, what I know is important. But it's possible that what I don't know may be even more important. This person hurt me terribly. And I know that. But maybe that person was going through something that I don't know about. And that's why that person hurt me. So, I was in New York airport a couple of years ago. I was waiting to catch a flight. Just standing looking around to see. I need a wheelchair assistant. So I was looking when the wheelchair assistant coming. And I was standing and suddenly somebody hit me. And I almost fell off. And I turned around and I saw a big, well-built person, tall and hefty. I felt extremely angry. And there was someone with him. It was a male and there's a female with him. And I was about to yell at him. And suddenly he turned around. And when he turned around, I saw immediately from his face that he had something like Down syndrome. And as soon as I saw that, immediately my anger disappeared. So, I still hit. Fortunately, I didn't have any broken teeth or anything. Just a blow on the chair. I just had a swollen mouth for a few days. But it was, as soon as I saw that, what happened is, oh, you hit me? How can you hit me? There was thing I knew. What I knew was the pain. But what I didn't know was, that person probably was not even aware of what they were doing. Maybe that person didn't have control over their limbs also. So, now this is not always the case. But my point is that when we have curiosity, we are open. Okay, there's what I know, but there's what I don't know about life. And what I don't know about what is going on in my life. What I don't know about what others are going through in their lives. Ultimately, this curiosity actually opens us to spirituality. One of the key tenets of spirituality is that life is meaningful, that life has a purpose, that things are moving for a purpose. We may not know right now what the purpose is, but curiosity keeps us open. Something bad may have happened to us, and we think this is terrible, why did this happen? But okay, this is bad, but maybe something good might come out of this. So, if we are just fixated on this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible, that time, like something bad happens to us, one door closes in front of us. And then we get so angry that we close our eyes. And then another door opens nearby, but that shutting of that door has led to the shutting of our eyes. And then another door is opening, we don't even see that door opening. So curiosity is not about devaluing what we know. Our experiences are true. We don't have to devalue them. But our experiences are not the complete reality. So, our finite vision, all that we can see is finite. Our finite vision is not the final vision. The final vision of what is happening why this is happening, where this is going to. Everybody will face pain in life. But when we face pain, we can go two ways. One is pain can be transmitted. Some people, when they get sick, they may be admitted to a hospital, but they complain and blame and they whine so much that they are sick and they make their caregivers sick of them. It's understandable, but still it's unfortunate. However, pain doesn't have to be transmitted. Pain can also be transformed. And can be transformed into what? Into purpose. And how to transform pain into purpose? That is what curiosity can enable us to do. So the key thing over here is, what does curiosity enable us to do? It enables us to change our question. The question of why did this happen to me? Why is it like this? Why don't I have this? Why is it like that? At that time, instead, we change the question from why to how. One of the teachings in the tradition of Bhakti Yoga is, ask not why bad things happen to good people. Ask, when bad things happen to good people, what do good people do? Ask, what do good people do? So, instead of asking, why is this happening? If we can find the answer, great. But if we can't, focus on, okay, how can I make the best out of the situation? How can I see some good in this situation? So, curiosity can open lots of doors for us. And curiosity is a very powerful way to prevent the hardening of the heart. And that brings me to the last part. ACT is the acronym. T is transcendence. Now, transcendence means that there is a higher reality, that beyond our daily life, in the world that we go through, there is a bigger reality. That bigger reality may be known by different names in different traditions. So normally for all of us, we go through life's ups and downs. Life is filled with binaries. Now for some of us, when we go through these ups and downs, our emotions go way up and way down. So there is some people, when something goes right in their life, they get so much energy, they feel, I can shake the whole world. And then when something goes wrong, they just go so down that the whole world can't shake them out of their bed also. So this in psychology is called as the manic depressive personality. Now, when things are good, they have a manic level of energy. And when things go wrong, it's just depressive. Now, of course, there's another kind of people. When things go up, they go a little up. When things go down, they keep going down, and they just keep going down only. When something bad happens, they feel bad. But when something good happens, they start thinking, oh, now after this, something bad is going to happen. And they just feel bad even when good has happened. This is called the chronic depressive personality. There's manic depressive and chronic depressive. So now, what is the solution? It is, the world will be like waves. There will be ups and downs. But amid these ups and downs, we can have our spirituality like an anchor for us. So our spirituality can be an anchor that we can hold on to. So the mantra that we chanted, Om, the kirtan that we'll be doing now, this is where sound becomes an anchor for us. There are different spiritual practices. The key point of spiritual practice is not what we do, but what is the effect on us of what we do. The effect should essentially needs to be that our thoughts shift from the changing toward the unchanging. And that gives us a sense of calmness. If we are holding on to an anchor, the waves will still hit us, but they won't sweep us away because we are holding on to that anchor, and the anchor is heavy. And as we keep growing spiritually, that anchor itself transforms. That anchor becomes like a airlift for us. We are lifted above. So as we grow spiritually, what initially acts like an anchor, eventually becomes like a airplane. It lifts us up. And life will still knock us down. But we won't be so shaken because we will. Yes, there is a spiritual core to me. There is a spiritual whole that I am a part of. And I am connected there. We will have inner stability. Now, we may be here, we may be concerned about the ups and downs, but we won't be threatened by it. Say if there's a storm coming and there's a stormy wave that is spread everywhere, we'll be threatened. Is somebody there? Is somebody drowning? Is there someone I need to help? We'll be concerned. But if we have been airlifted, we won't be threatened. So this is an extraordinary effect of spirituality. What spirituality does is, it opens us to a whole new domain of experience and emotional enrichment. And by that, the control of the world and the world's events on our emotions decreases substantially. So that's how the softening of the heart happens ultimately. Because our heart is not directed or fixated on the world. When our heart has turned upwards, our heart is anchored and sheltered in the divine, then what happens is, if you forget everything from this session, just remember this one diagram. How does spirituality help in softening the heart? Initially for us, the world is very big. And the spiritual reality, we may call it the divine, we may call it God, whatever. In our tradition, we call it by name Krishna. Whatever it is, that the divine is small for us. Yeah, maybe the divine exists, maybe the divine doesn't exist, I don't care. So all our emotions are coming from here. The dualities that are there over here, because the world is big, the dualities also tend to become big. But as we grow spiritually, what happens is, the world becomes small for us. And the divine becomes bigger for us. So because the world becomes small, the world's ups and downs also become small. We do not depend on the world for the fulfillment of our emotional needs. And what happens is, we become connected spiritually much more. So the ultimate state of softening of the heart is where, with respect to the world, we are materially peaceful. Because we are not so fixated on the world. We are materially peaceful, and because we are connected here, we are spiritually joyful. So materially peaceful, spiritually joyful. This is the state of the fully softened heart, where we do not depend on external validation, external accumulation. So by material, you could use the word as a synonym, external. With respect to externals, we are peaceful. With respect to our internals, we are joyful. And that's when a softened heart will be a precious asset for us in connecting with ourselves at a deeper level and connecting with others also at a much deeper level. I'll summarize what I discussed today. I talked about a topic of softening the heart. And in softening the heart, I talked about an acronym. What was the acronym? ACT. So we discussed initially what softening of the heart means. All of you gave very valuable conversation. A was what? Acceptance, and go beyond it to appreciation. So in appreciation, I discussed three things. One is that it is the opposite of resentment. And whatever life brings within us, yes, life is unfair. Nobody is denying that. But life is, in the big picture, fairly unfair. So our choice is what we are going to look at. And I discussed about the difference between the gifts in life and there is the gift of life. So gratitude for the extraordinary is ordinary. Gratitude for the ordinary is extraordinary. So the gift of life is itself a valuable gift. And C was curiosity. So one of the things that hardens our heart is judgmentality. So judgmentality is where we just bring such fixed labels into our life that everything becomes already very hard for us. So curiosity means that there are things I know and there are things I don't know. So I'm open to the things that I don't know. I'm open to the possibility that there is something positive that might emerge from the negative that is there right now. So pain is a fact of life. But when we have judgmentality, all that we do is we transmit the pain. The pain gets transmitted. But if we have curiosity, then the pain can be transformed. Okay, it can be transformed into purpose. So this is what curiosity enables us to do. Let me see. Rather than asking, why is this happening to me? Okay, what is the best I can do in this situation? That how can I make the best of the situation? So first look at what is good in my situation, and then when we look at what is bad, okay, I accept that there is bad, but what is there something good in the bad? Is there something good emerging from the bad? And then we go beyond this whole good bad duality. So then the last was transcendence. Transcendence is where we connect with a higher reality. Life will always have its ups and downs, but transcendence gives us an anchor that we can hold on to. And eventually that very anchor turns into an airlift for us. What that means is that we get elevated, we'll be concerned, but we won't be threatened. Another way to understand it, as we grow spiritually, as transcendence becomes a reality for us, then the world becomes smaller and the divine becomes larger. And that's how we become materially peaceful. Our emotions are not caught in the external world and we become spiritually joyful. And this is the key to a soft heart. So let us all pray that, my dear Lord, please guide me so that I can accept and appreciate what is good in my life. Let me be curious and not judgmental about the things that seem to be bad to me. And let me be open to transcendence. Let me find shelter and strength and happiness in you, my Lord, so that with a soft heart I can see the richness of life and see life itself as a gift every day and every moment of it. Thank you very much.